Hello, everyone. I'm Sign1News anchor Vanessa Paloma Bajarnik. Here's a quick look at the top trending international stories making headlines today. If you post an interesting comment about this update, we may add it at the bottom of the screen. In the U.S., the Biden administration has offered to release Russian arms dealer Viktor Bout from a U.S. prison if the Kremlin releases WNBA star Brittany Griner and former U.S. Marine Paul Whelan. Now it appears Russia wants to add names to a proposed prisoner swap. Sources familiar with the discussion say the Russians suggested adding former Soviet Colonel Vadim Krasakov to the swap. He worked for Russia's domestic spy agency and is serving life in prison in Germany for the murder of a former Chechen fighter. Some U.S. officials don't believe this is a legitimate offer. They believe Russia is just trying to stall until Griner's trial is over. Here are new pictures from the Philippines. It shows the damage from the 7.0 magnitude earthquake that shook the city earlier this week. The region of Luzon got hit the hardest. Authorities there reported damages to many households and buildings. People in some areas could also be seen evacuating buildings. Officials are urging people to still stay alert and be safe in case there are aftershocks. Pope Francis met with indigenous groups in Canada this week. He was there to apologize for the church's role in abuse of indigenous groups in Catholic residential schools. More than 150,000 indigenous children were forced to leave their families and were forced to work and experienced neglect and sexual and physical abuse. Thousands of children are still missing. After he begged Canada's Indigenous people for forgiveness, one of the Indigenous chiefs, who himself is a survivor of a Catholic residential school abuse, honored the Pope with a headdress. Despite the abuse, many indigenous peoples still revere him and the religion he represents. Gang violence in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, has led to the deaths of 220 people since July 8th. In addition, 205 people have suffered gunshot wounds and 8 people are missing. The mayor says the situation is not under control. While the shootings were going on, prisoners in the penitentiary broke out of their cells and gathered in the prison yard in an unsuccessful attempt to escape. Gun violence has been on the rise since the assassination of the country's president last year. Police in Japan have started using tranquilizer guns to deal with recent monkey attacks. Since July 8th, 45 people have been injured by Japanese snow monkeys. The victims have ranged in age from toddlers to senior citizens. People have been scratched on their hands and legs and bitten on their necks, but no serious injuries have been reported. Police switched to tranquilizer guns when the nets and traps they set didn't work. Authorities say the attacks are very unusual. The monkeys have never come into urban areas like this before and assaulted so many people. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky was honored with the Churchill Award by British Prime Minister Boris Johnson earlier this week. The award is in memory of Britain's former leader, Winston Churchill, who led Europe to peace during World War II. The award is given to people who demonstrate extraordinary leadership. While Zelensky was being honored, his wife, First Lady Olena Zelenksa, was honored on the cover of the latest digital cover of Vogue magazine. In the magazine, she talks about the difficulties of war and being a first lady. But she now uses her position to strengthen diplomatic relations with world leaders. Her husband also spoke to the magazine, saying his wife is strong and sets an example for women and children in their home country. "22-year-old Honduran soccer player Roger Casalegno has built a growing TikTok following of more than 67,000 in only 3 months. That's because some of his followers think he resembles international football star Cristiano Ronaldo. Casalegno even quit amateur soccer and moved up to a semi-professional football club. He dreams of playing in the English Premier League one day, hopefully alongside Ronaldo, who he admires. Sign1News will be broadcasting international news updates every Sunday. A big thank you to our Sign1News app supporters who help make this broadcast happen. You can download the Sign1News app by heading to the App Store or Google Play Store on your smartphone. And you can also watch on Apple TV, Amazon, and Roku.